eating animals isn't necessarily unethical, and I think while it is kind of optional, it does provide certain benefits that a plant-based diet can't without like intense supplementation. We live in a human-centric world. I don't necessarily give the same weight to human and animal lives.
But do you think that's fair towards the animals?
No.
No.
But it is what it is.
What's going on?
Oh, nice. Hey, you guys okay being filmed for my YouTube channel?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, what's your name? I'm Chip.
Theo?
Theo?
Cornell.
Cornell. Nice to meet you. Where are you guys from?
The U.S.
Boston area.
Boston. Love
Yes.
it. I was going to say, hey, I'm walking here, but that's not from Boston.
No.
It's a little further south.
Close enough. Okay. I haven't been to Boston. Been to
We
New
don't
York.
like New Yorkers.
Okay. So I'm going to turn this around. You tell me what you think.
Okay.
It says animal abuse should be legal.
No.
No?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Well, because animals are living things that have thoughts and feelings. So
Okay.
you shouldn't be able to abuse them,
I appreciate that. Is that the same?
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
generally speaking.
So cats and dogs shouldn't be abused.
No.
Most
about-
animals.
Cows, pigs, chickens.
No. Should not.
I don't think they should
Yeah.
be abused.
They shouldn't be abused.
No.
Do you guys consume any animal products? I'm not judging.
sure.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any abuse happening behind animal products?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So can you be against abuse of animals while simultaneously supporting it?
I think it's
Yes.
a little hypocritical,
Yeah.
but like you can. It's just convenience and money
Yeah.
thing, I think.
So it is a
And,
bit
like-
hypocritical.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I mean, I don't think all animal products are necessarily
Abuse.
unethical.
But factory farming, you can say.
For sure is.
Why is factory farming unethical?
Because it's not just simply like harvesting the animal for its meat. It's turning the entire life cycle of the animal into a product.
Yeah, exactly.
But would you be surprised to find out that this happens on small farms, large farms, all farms?
Not really.
Not at all.
Because all farmers, they don't care about the animal. Well, they care about the animals, but they care about their profits more, right?
Exactly.
Even if they're small farms, the animal is just a product to them.
For
Yeah.
sure.
They will use them, and until when they can no longer use them, they will slaughter them.
Absolutely.
Do you think any of this is justified for something that is essentially optional to us?
I don't know if justified is the right word. I mean, I'm trying to think of how the mental. I mean, I've been doing it, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an out of sight, out of mind thing. But like, I think that there is like eating animals isn't necessarily unethical, and I think while it is kind of optional, it does provide certain benefits that a
Exactly.
plant-based diet can't without like
Supplementation.
intense supplementation or
I mean, I would disagree with that. I'm especially given that I'm studying to be a certified nutritionist and I have some knowledge in the area. But
no, I mean,
like,
I'm sure you know more than me.
but in that sense, let me ask you this because you say there's nothing wrong with eating animals.
Well,
Do you think there's anything wrong with eating dogs?
not really.
No.
I mean,
How about humans?
probably.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think there's a level of consciousness that is like that's what makes killing a human worse than killing an animal.
What if we find humans who have the level of consciousness of an animal, like intellectually challenged humans? Would it be okay to slaughter them?
No.
I don't think so.
No. Why not? They're just like
Well, I mean, I think we live in a world where being a person carries certain
And
privileges.
also morals come from people. So, of course,
Yeah,
morally, you're going to put a person
above an animal.
Well, just the fact that morals come from people doesn't mean that we put.
It's not necessarily justified.
Yeah,
But
like-
the question itself is kind of flawed because you're coming from a human perspective. So,
Well,
like,
it doesn't
you're
really matter, right? Because morally speaking, we ask ourselves, because you said persons, right?
Mhm.
Like, what is a person, if I ask you?
a person.
A human. I mean,
Does it have to be a
I'm-
human? Because I would say person is synonymous with personality, with consciousness, with sentience, and
I
because
think
I think that definition is too broad, though. When people refer to people, they refer to other human beings usually. That's just how the term is used.
no, I understand
Yeah.
that, but the idea of what we see as a person isn't necessarily that we see them in the shape of a human, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not about the shape of or the body or the thing. It's the the capability of a subjective experience, the fact that they can experience the world around them, the fact that they can have emotions towards those experiences,
I don't
right?
necessarily agree.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, if, for example, we're able to create an advanced enough computer that can have sentience or some form of conscious experiments, it doesn't make it a person. It's a different thing that's capable of a conscious experience. Or a person in a coma who's not capable of experiencing emotions of the world around them is still a person. They're just like...
Interesting. So for you, person strictly means humans. It's synonymous with human. Person equals human.
I mean, I think
okay, that's fine. But like, I'm not going to disagree with that. Like, I'm not going to disagree with that. But because it's strictly about like semantics at this point, right? Yeah. I don't really mind. But like, I would say, why do you think it's bad to hurt a human being? Is it just because they're of the genome human, or is it because they could feel you hurting them?
I mean, it's not just because they're people.
Yeah, I think also there's certain. Also, it's situationally dependent. It's not just hurting in the abstract. It's absolutely
innocent people.
Innocent people, yeah.
Or like,
yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, we could find like weird examples, but I think it's wrong because number one, just from like being a person, I don't want other people to be able to hurt me.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, I understand that.
So it's like a golden rule.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and also I just think that in general, everyone's life is better if it's negative to hurt other people.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. So bringing it back to animals, do you think that any of this relates to animals? Do you think that it's for the same reason why it's bad to hurt a human? I would say it's bad to hurt an animal.
No,
because they would feel it. Because we can apply the golden rule also to them, right? If you were to see a dog here and me kicking the dog, would you come and join me, or would you? No, you would say stop.
Activity, no.
Yeah, it would be a group activity.
Not a party.
Yeah, exactly. So, but when we consume animal products, we support a system that literally kicks other animals, that cuts their throat, right?
Yeah.
So, coming back to your statement of saying that eating animal products is not bad, the fact that behind it is this abuse, exploitation. Wouldn't you say that it makes it bad?
I think eating animals under the current system, I think I could get behind the argument that it is bad. But I think eating, like for example, hunting your own food, I don't think that's necessarily bad. But supporting factory farming, or even, as you said, smaller farms that are doing this abuse, I think, I would agree with what he said earlier. It's definitely hypocritical.
But any animal, I appreciate that. But like, do you think any animal, given the context where you can choose otherwise, is it fair towards them to choose to take their life when you can choose otherwise?
I don't know if fair is the right word. I mean, because I think I understand what you're saying, because I absolutely agree that animals can have, you know, unique experiences and emotions and personalities.
Exactly.
But I think at least my like mental justification of it to this point has been, we live in a human-centric world. I don't necessarily give the same weight to human and animal lives. Like, I think even you would have to agree, like, you know, if you're in a house fire and you can save a baby or 3 dogs, you're probably going to save the baby.
But I agree with you, but like...
So it's like, it's not... I know what you mean. And honestly, it is probably better. Certainly better for the animals, probably better for the environment to be vegetarian.
For the environment.
Yeah.
But let me put it this way, because it's not about putting humans and animals on the same level. It's not that at all, right? Like, we all have our own value system. I value my friends more than I value strangers. I value my family more than I value my friends. And if I would have a pet or a pet companion, I would value them probably more than I value my friends. I don't know, somewhere in there, right? So I create a hierarchical system of value for myself. You create that for yourself, you create that for yourself. It doesn't mean that anybody who is lower in that hierarchical system, I'm sorry, this is a difficult
No, I know what you mean.
If anybody is lower in that hierarchical system of value, it doesn't mean that we get to do whatever we want to them as long as we get some benefit from it, right?
Yeah.
So I agree that maybe you don't have to value animals in that sense, but it is a thing of justice to not do this to them, because they deserve life to live just as much as we do. They value their life just as much as I value my own, just as much as you value your own, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. It's intrinsic value, not extrinsic value, that I would say matters more than anything.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
What do you mean by intrinsic value? I would say.
I would say like value coming from within, right? It's we all have a value coming from within because we all value our own existence in the same way that an animal values there, right? If you come with a knife towards an animal, they're going to run away and they're going to run scared or anything, or they're going to try to fight you either way, depending on the animal. But that's because they intrinsically value their own life. It's like just like we do the same, right? And if a human being doesn't, we call that's a disease, right? We say they're either depressed or something. Yeah. So this value that we say it's normal to have, also animals have it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, bringing it back, you said it's bad to consume animal products, but hunting is okay. Do you think hunting is still okay?
I still think hunting's okay.
You still think hunting is okay? What about hunting humans in the same context?
I would not say it for the reasons my friend said it earlier. It's not. I don't morally equivocate those two situations.
But it's not about morally equivocating. It's the same thing, right? It's about if you find humans that have zero value to you, because I mean,
but it's not just having zero value to me. It's like humans also live in a social sense. So
what if you find humans that don't? Humans who are isolated from the world. They live in a jungle. There's 3 human beings. They all isolated from each other. They don't have any friends. They live in a jungle. They're intellectually challenged. I trait equalize them for absolutely all. They're basically just like animals, but they're they're in the shape of humans.
I personally wouldn't.
Yeah.
But like, again, I think being like just the species human, at least to me, provides some kind of value that places them, or like provides a basis for a different moral stance.
Okay, then let's go the other way. Let's go. Your friend does a DNA test and finds out that he's just a little bit outside of the genome of humanity. He's slightly evolved or something, right? He's no longer human. Would you find it okay to slaughter them?
Well, no, because he's my friend.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying.
The goalpost.
But I think that's also a poor definition of human, because like it's not everyone has some genetic variability. I'm confused with what you mean by outside the genome.
Yeah, I mean, so being in the same species means that we can reproduce with them.
Of course.
Reproduce with them and produce fertile offspring.
So would an infertile person be outside the genome by that definition? I'm just confused because
that's a good question. I've been thinking about that myself. Right, is an infertile person? I mean, that's why we have genetics, right? Genetics there's obviously an interval of genetics between for what you would call a human being and what you would call another animal or whatever it is. So in that sense, maybe somebody is so different or has so many mutations that they're different. I don't know why. I don't know how, but they are different genetically speaking. They have so many mutations. Would that be right to slaughter them? It wouldn't, right? No, but somehow we think animals are.
But I have a question then. So let's say, for example, lions value lions more in their groups and tribes, and they're fine with killing other animals. Would you say they're morally permissible for that action, or morally
I would say it's wrong to kill any animal, regardless if I do it or an animal does it.
So an animal killing another animal is wrong.
Yeah, I would say it's wrong, but I don't think I can. I'm having difficulty convincing 2 people that killing animals is wrong. Imagine the difficulty I would have convincing a lion that killing animals is wrong. Number 1, and number 2, we as people have options, whereas lions probably don't. Right. So I would say in the absence of options, when you're in survival situations, you can do whatever it is to justify surviving. I would probably kill and eat you too. I would probably kill and eat an animal. Doesn't really matter, right? In the situation of survival, you can justify a lot. But in the day-to-day that we're in, we have options. Basically, the day-to-day that we're presented every day, we're presented between an option where we can exploit and slaughter an animal or not. So the question is, why would you choose to exploit and slaughter an animal or not? Or why would you even think that the exploitation or slaughtering of an animal is in any way moral? Regardless if it's hunted, regardless of hunting, right? Because you have this other option always right there with you.
You asking?
Are you asking?
I'm asking. I'm asking. What do you think about this?
I mean, I think it is a little. The justification societally is probably a little backwards, because it comes from a place of it's happening, everyone does it, why should it be fine? And originally, it probably came from a point of necessity, where in before the modern world, you kind of did need to hunt.
Yeah.
There wasn't dietary supplements or things like tofu readily available to the average person. So that's probably where societally it comes from, and it becomes a habit and it's ingrained in you. I mean, I don't know.
But nowadays, do you think that's still the case?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's where I think the justification comes from.
Yeah, I
To
understand
answer your
that.
question,
But
is
like,
it probably came backwards.
yeah,
Where the thing happened before people were like thinking about whether it was morally okay because it needed to happen to survive.
yeah,
Like you were talking about.
we were kind of trying to not think about it too much because we didn't like what was happening to them, what we were doing to them. We maybe even found it immoral, but we found it as a survival situation, something that we needed to do. But nowadays we don't, and nowadays we can't really justify because I would assume none of you guys kill animals. You really just go into supermarkets or restaurants and buy and whatever it is that you need, right? So there's a little bit of disconnection there from the
absolutely.
from what's happening.
Yeah, well, that's probably where most of the justification comes from as well.
Yeah.
You're not seeing these animals.
Yeah, but having this conversation with me, does it make you think a little bit about what's happening?
Absolutely.
Behind?
I always think about it because, like, I mean, it's like selfishly, I just love the taste, and like, I'm a big food guy. So
I'm a big food guy too.
Like, definitely difficult for me to just give up a massive portion of my diet.
Yeah.
But I do think about it all the time. Like,
but do you think it's more difficult for you or for the animals that go into slaughterhouses for you?
I mean,
right? Because
I never said it was easier, but like, it is a massive change.
I would say
I know I get where you're coming from. I don't know that it's necessarily like a. I know the argument, and I understand it. I still feel like I just find it okay because I think in my mind, despite the hypotheticals, I am able to draw a clear line between what's a human and what's not, and what is like. It's not a matter of simply intelligence because there's really intelligent animals, but like. I just think there's something about being a human, having a human experience. Maybe it's kind of like he said, where lions, even though they're carnivores, they're not going to go kill and eat other lions.
They kill other lions.
They really need to. I mean, like they're not doing it. That's not their primary goal.
Source of food.
There is something ingrained in us to value our own over others.
But what about dogs? Okay, I understand that the way I see it for you, it's too much of a difference between humans and animals to say that. To kind of equate the situations. But what about dogs? Would you put dogs into slaughterhouses?
I mean, would I? Probably
would you
not.
Support the system that puts dogs into slaughterhouses? And by that I mean, at the supermarket you only find dog meat made from dogs.
I mean, I don't know if support is the right word. Because, like, I don't necessarily have a moral problem with people eating dogs. I think it's the same as eating any other
but
animal.
you yourself.
I wouldn't, just because I have a dog.
Just because you have a dog.
Like, again, it's completely...
So do you find it morally wrong to do this? You yourself, according to your own moral.
Morally wrong is the right word. If someone else didn't, I wouldn't be like, that's morally wrong. I would just not be able to separate the meat from the animal, which you are able to do in basically every other situation.
I understand that, but do you think that's fair towards the animals?
No. But it is what it is, and like...
But we can't say it is what it is. We can't. Like, well, we justified slavery saying it is what it is, right?
Well,
and there was a clear definition. Like white people.
We didn't just justify slavery. It is what it is. It's an oversimplification. It's also for economic benefits and stuff like that.
The same is done for animals. Right? There's still economic benefit. We still do it for money. The reason why all of these animals get exploited.
And that's why I would say. More the system that's doing it right now is the issue than eating animals. I would say.
But if you're supporting if you think the system is an issue, when you give your money, you're supporting the system.
I mean, but aren't you also by nature supporting the system by buying all the clothes on your back? You're supporting business.
I'm not supporting the system that's exploiting animals because when I buy clothes, I look that they're not exploiting animals, of course.
But you're not. It's not just not exploiting the animals. It could be supporting those factory farms and stuff like that. It's not just the slaughterhouses. The slaughterhouses are a symptom of a wider systemic issue. That being the supremacy and imperative for profit over all else.
You totally got it.
Exactly. And I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So there's no ethical consumption under that model. But I would say eating meat or killing animals in itself, I would struggle to say that's morally.
But that's a contradiction between what you just said just now, huh? Maybe. Because
contradiction, condemning the system that's having it and killing animals outside of that system. I don't see how those two ideas are contradicting.
But you're saying killing the animals outside that system, right?
Yeah.
But you don't hunt.
No, I agree. I agree. That's why I said it's hypocritical. I absolutely agree on that.
Yeah. So in that sense, that's the contradiction within you, right? Because you say you continue wanting to support the system, and I agree that there may be cases where the system cannot you cannot escape the system or whatever. And certain systems, there's a lot of exploitation happening all around the world. But this is a system that you get the chance to vote with your money every single day. Every single day you have the red, and there's also another system where you have a readily available option, one where it doesn't exploit an animal, right? So there's a difference between this and buying clothes, as you said, or buying phone, or buying whatever it is that you're buying. The difference is you have readily available options. You can choose every day, and every time you choose, there's a clear victim. Whereas in this other case, right, imagine the consequences. If you stop buying animal products, you would save around 100 to 200 animals per year. If you stop buying clothes and phones, some people in some country lose their job. They will have to find another job in another system or whatever it is. But you're still not destroying the system, whereas you are destroying the system by not supporting this. You see what I mean?
I don't think you're destroying the system by not supporting it. I would say.
I mean, you are. The system will have to change to stop exploiting animals.
But you can say the same thing for not buying an iPhone, for example, right? Not buying an iPhone, it's a large capitalist corporation trying to pursue profit. Not buying not buying meat, it's a large corporation trying to pursue profit. Voting with my money alone isn't destroying that system, like you said. There's other steps that need to be taken besides you just stopping doing it.
But what will happen if if nobody buys iPhones anymore?
What would happen if no one buys iPhones?
Yeah.
Well, that would obviously crumble, but I think it's not just about stopping buying iPhones.
I would say if you stop buying iPhones, the factory will start making other phones. Those people would still be exploited.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying there's other steps that need to be taken.
Yeah, but for animals, it's not the case.
Wait 1 second. There's other steps that need to be taken besides stopping buying that product, whether legislatively or policy decisions or.
But why do you care about that? Because
why do I care?
Yeah, because the reason why I'm mentioning is because legislative, or like let's say they make a law where you're not allowed to exploit animals.
Yeah.
To you, it would be the same effect. You would have to stop consuming animal products. So why would you care if it's coming from the government? Or would you rather be forced by the government to not eat animal products? Or would you rather
It's not being forced by the government. It's creating a larger movement of people to put that legislation into action.
But I'm telling you right now that you can be part of a larger movement of people to make this happen, right?
But again, it's a part of a larger system. It's not just eating animal products. It's that slaughterhouses are a thing for a reason, which is the
I'm not just talking about the slaughterhouse, and we keep mentioning exploitation because it's also about exploiting animals, right?
Yeah.
But
again, you're also supporting a system that exploits people, and that's why I'm trying to make a comparison between the two. It's not just about stopping.
But can I go naked on the street?
You can't go naked on the street.
So I need to buy clothes.
Yeah, I know.
Do you need to consume animal products?
Oh. Not necessarily. No.
So there is a difference there. There's a difference there, right? Like I will try to make all my ethical consumptions, everything that I buy, to try to be as ethical as I can. But to some extent, as you claim, like in certain areas, it becomes extremely complicated. But in this one, it isn't. In this one, it's very easy. You buy animal products, animals get exploited. That's it. There's no around the corner. There's no nothing, right? Like yeah. And we're not talking here about making the world perfect. We're talking about eliminating one of the worst things that we as humans do in the world, because we exploit and slaughter around 80 to 90 billion land animals and over 2 trillion fish, which is an insane amount of number. Like, you can't even comprehend how big that is, right?
A lot of fish. It's a lot of fish. Yeah.
It's a lot of fish. Yeah. So it's like to them, their life matters. Like, imagine, like as we've been talking right now, hundreds of thousands of animals have been slaughtered. So it can seem daunting that you as an individual don't think you make a change, but you do. And if everybody has this attitude where I want everybody else to change until I do, then nothing will ever get to change. So do you guys want to change, or do you want to? And I'm not saying sitting here on the street and talking about animal rights.
I know what you mean. I mean, I definitely want to consume less animal products just in general. Yeah. Largely, I think at first environmentally, I just know it's way better for the environment.
It is.
I think it's a tough, like, immediate change. And I also think there's some things that, like, I don't know. I don't think there's a real reason you can say that, like ethically, locally sourced, like, eggs or honey or milk isn't ethical. I understand how in, like,
I can explain to you why they're not ethical.
Eggs?
Yeah. Let me show you.
Eggs?
Let me show you. Yeah, of
Like
course.
a local farm.
Even from a local farm. So all chickens that lay eggs. So chickens are two types of chickens. They're broiler chickens who are raised for meat, and chickens who are raised for eggs. The chickens that are raised for eggs come from hatcheries. In hatcheries, it's the place where eggs hatch, and whether they go to a small farm, large farm, backyard, doesn't matter. They all come from the same place.
Yeah.
And in hatcheries, when the egg hatches, there's a 50-50 chance that they're born either male or female.
And all the men get killed.
All the men get killed, yeah.
Yeah.
The way they kill, they either get blended up alive, or they get suffocated to death. They get put in a bag and then suffocate to death.
So I'm just curious, if that system was to change, you think eating eggs is fine?
Well, I would still think seeing animals as resources is wrong.
Really?
Yeah, like would you eat the egg of the period of a woman?
Well, no, but not because I think it's wrong. I just think it's kind of gross.
But I would say it's just as gross to eat the egg of a chicken, right?
I mean, I know.
We got this.
I know that I like it, you know?
It still comes out of the ass of the chicken.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
but it's I don't think it's exploiting it or viewing it as a product when it's a byproduct of the thing's existence. It's not like
and in
the
commercial
chicken does anything with the unfertilized eggs.
They do. Actually,
It just, sits there.
there's also the problem where chickens have been selectively bred to lay over 300 eggs per year.
That's like a
right, and it's really
ago.
like a chicken that lays eggs is this big, and imagine laying. Removing something from everybody. So in sanctuaries, they take the eggs and they smash them on the ground, and chickens come pecking at it, so they get the nutrients back. And if you do that very often, then the eggs that they get, the eggs that they lay, become very hard, and they're not even nice. Yeah, they because they get all the required nutrients. And the other thing is, like, including in smaller farms or large farms, when they can no longer produce enough eggs, and by enough I do mean daily. Like if they produce 5 eggs per week, they get slaughtered. And that's at less than half their life, always.
Yeah.
So it's still exploitation. Like that's the problem with when you see individuals as resources, you can justify doing all sorts of stuff and cutting corners. The problem is the source of the problem is us seeing animals as resources. It's not what we do to them. It's not. It's the fact that we can say, well, we can do whatever as long as we benefit from them. Like you say, eggs and honey. There's all sorts of practices. I honestly don't know all the practices about honey, but there's like I know that during winter, a lot of them they just get killed because it's easier, it's more convenient for them to kill them instead of keeping them during winter for bees. Yeah. So there's all these awful practices, and I don't know. For me, when I chose to be vegan, by the way, not vegetarian, because in the dairy industry, there's a lot of other shit. When I chose to be vegan was because I said I can't really justify being part of this in any way, and I really don't want to walk around feeling bad about myself or feeling bad about my choices when I could really easily make different choices, because that's the reality. Nowadays, we could easily make other choices. You like yogurt, you get soy yogurt. You want a leather jacket, you get a vegan leather jacket. Well, everything that you want, you can find a different option for it now. So, sure, some are a little bit more expensive, some are a little bit cheaper. That's the reality. So, eventually, it balances out. And I personally found that I spend actually less money per month. So, is any of this...
No, absolutely. I definitely agree with you on most things.
Yeah.
I think it's probably just stubbornness and selfishness that is not making me immediately be like agreeing with everything you say.
I appreciate that.
I'm honest about it. I realize that.
So I'm a stranger to you. I don't expect you to.
Quick question though.
Yeah.
Just for example, when I eat well, we're gonna go in a second.
Yeah.
Like you gotta bounce. We got timed music.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute.
No, for sure.
For example, when I eat vegetable oils, it gives me migraines. I feel worse. Eating those meat alternatives actively impacts my health.
You don't have to eat those meat alternatives,
no,
right?
it's just, for example, like cooking oils or stuff like that. Eating an animal diet makes my life experience better, and we're trying to do a conscious. And it's not about. I understand you're saying resources, but there are other people like this in this world who struggle to go on a plant-based diet. I've tried vegetarian stuff before. What would you say to those people who are...
Well, I'm studying to be a certified nutritionist, right? Like, you can try an elimination diet if that's something that you're a problem with, right? Most of the people who go on a carnivore diet, the reason why they have successes and they feel better is because of an elimination diet, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do is do an elimination diet, but you don't have to introduce animal products in that sense, right? You can introduce plant-based products and see, like, the people that I talked to before you were allergic to soy. So I can imagine being allergic to soy is probably the most difficult thing in the world nowadays, because everything has soy. both animal products and not animal products.
Yeah.
So they literally have to struggle regardless of what they buy. And if you say it's difficult for you because you feel better on this products better than other products, then yeah, but again, like you see, the root of the problem is you thinking that that it's an option for you to exploit an animal and slaughter them to feel better about it. Because if you don't see it as an option, then you exhaust all other options until you get to this point. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't, if there were no animals on this planet for you to exploit and slaughter, you wouldn't say, I'm going to go kill people to see if I feel better with eating them, right? No, because it's just because we see it as an option to do it to this animal. So we need to change this mentality where we don't see it like this. But how about I do this? I give you some cards, you guys look into it, but if you promise me to watch one video and that's it, I appreciate that. Okay, I'll give you 2 cards. Here you go. One for you and one for you.
Thank you.
And so there's 2 things there that I want you to see. If you scan this code, if you scan this or go on this website and type in this code, watch the most important speech you'll ever hear.
I'm going to challenge your belief systems today, so certain parts of the speech will be intense.
It's a really good speech, just like we discussed. It might incentivize you to do more if you want. And if not, at least you know where all your food is coming from, all that stuff. You know about the practices, because as you said, eggs, honey, they discuss all this. It's a guy at the university in US holding a speech in front of students. It's a really good speech, if for anything. And Challenge 22 you have also there. They hook you up with a nutritionist. Sounds like what you need. They send you vegan recipes every day. All of it to stop exploiting animals, and it's all free.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So
Great to meet you.
nice to meet you. Just
Conversation.
don't hesitate too much, because when you will buy an animal product, you will exploit another animal. And if you were in their shoes, would you want right?
Certainly not.
Certainly you wouldn't want to go through what they go through. So let's be fair towards them. It's justice. Let's be fair towards them, okay? I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.